That was my phone.
You pressed the button.
Did you actually hear that? That's crazy.
Yep, I heard it.
Oh, right, and now we're live. So welcome back to LWG live stream. It's been a little while since we did this, but we figured, hey, what the heck, in our semi-weekly or monthly live stream. So I am Jared, and today I am joined by Nate.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I mean, hello.
Hello. John.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Hello.
I know that's right.
And wow. And Josh.
For now.
Josh for now.
For now.
You sound like one of the kids in youth group. My God.
Josh for now.
You don't even know what their names are anymore. So, okay. Anyway, what we are going to do tonight is we're going to have a action-packed, jam-packed episode for you of a whole bunch of stuff that and I realize some of you have been requesting some other things, which we're not actually going to get to tonight. We will at some point get to, so this is for Edgar, the Slaanesh.
Talk about Slaanesh.
He wants to talk about Slaanesh. We'll do the Slaanesh army breakdown at some point, I promise. How about, no, you know what I'll do? I'll say when he gets in here.
A bunch of heroes. And
yeah, take all the heroes. No, when he gets in here to join the stream, then we'll go over it. How about that?
Okay.
That's what we'll do. So that one's for him. But tonight, we do have a lot of action-packed things. So first we have some announcements we'll go over, and then we're going to be looking at, and this is in no particular order, by the way. It's just the stuff we'll be talking about. We're going to be looking at Sylvaneth. We're going to be looking at the new book that came out. We're going to be looking at the General's Handbook 2019 fallout that we're experiencing so far and what we're seeing.
there's no fallout.
There's a whole what? There's a ton of fallout. It's like nuclear winter around here. So, and then we have the War Cry is also come out. And then there's new releases from Games Workshop, a whole bunch of stuff that they just released. So we're going to, I know a lot of other channels have gone over that. We're not going to spend a lot of time, but just our impressions and what we've been chatting about. And then
really the FAQs for the newer armies, the Skaven, the Goblins, the other ones, all the other ones.
Yes,
Yeah.
that would be Handbook Fallout. I consider it the same thing. So
My army.
yeah, and then if we have time at the end,
The fact, right.
if we have time at the end, we can do some battle report review.
Oh boy.
Well, there was a GT here locally too that we could discuss at least.
We could discuss how none of us went.
Yeah, it was amazing, and none of us were there, sadly.
So we can discuss the results because all of us have like families and lives, so we can go to a 2-day event. But you know, we can discuss the results.
Yeah, they're good guys. We'll give them a shout out.
We're not Nate.
For the
Yeah.
oh.
Mike was there.
Oh, and also before I forget, because it might happen again, John, you want to monitor the chat to see if anybody has any questions, and that is to if anybody's listening, if anybody's out there, we would like to interact. Would like to interact with you all night. So, but
No.
Jared.
Just the nationals next time, Jared.
I'm sorry. No, but if you do have any questions, if you have any comments, feel free to post, and hopefully, maybe we should have somebody else on it instead of John.
Oh, I can see it.
I'm on it.
Okay. So, but
Jeez, I'm reviewing it.
no. He'll get it up there, and wow, I'm just full of
All right.
one-liners.
All right.
Are you sure?
I'm not even trying. I'm not even trying anymore. Wow. Okay. So then, where are we going to kick it off? We're going to start with our announcements. So now, if you're not local to us or a part of our club, feel free to tune out for the next 5 minutes. But we do have some cool goings on coming up that I will.
You should move. You should move.
Yeah, that's that. You know what? Just move to Lancaster County, and then you can game with us.
We have
anywho.
We have whoopie pies.
Some local,
like the town in
local
Maine, we are
goats.
the official birthplace of the whoopie pie.
Whoopie pies.
I don't think people even know what whoopie pies are.
No one.
Well, they're wrong.
John, get out of the chat. Anyway, so local goings on. We have a couple events coming up here this fall. We just kind of went over our schedule, and there's still some other things in the work that might be popping up. But for now, we have a narrative event which we love, coming up in September. And I have a little teaser video for that, so hopefully this works. So I'm going to try to pull that up right now, and you can watch the teaser video. And then I want to get your guys' reaction. So here we go.
Cue the teaser.
Cue teaser. Is it going?
QT?
I just see John's face.
Can you see it?
I don't know. I think we have to stop talking.
It says we're presenting to everyone.
It says you're presenting.
I'm hoping everybody can see it.
No, I don't think
Present.
so, sir.
I don't see anything.
Oh, this technical problem. Ooh, we got. Can you hear the music?
Wait,
Nope.
wait. I saw a little bit.
All right, I'll restart it. Listen, we don't profess.
I flashed.
we don't present. You know, we don't have any technical skills here, but we try our best. So here we go.
It's not a teaser if we show you the whole thing. So we can just show you like a little clip.
Is this it?
Yes. Everyone be quiet. There's no sound.
I mean, I guess you don't need the sound, right?
I need the video though. It's like, boop.
Can you see it? Okay.
Barely.
How about this? Everyone go to our Twitter, and I will link to it.
Okay, fine. Technical problems. We'll get it. We'll get it posted. But anywho, I tried. So, anyway, what this is for, and if you couldn't see it, go to our Twitter, go to our Facebook, and please check it out. Especially if you're local and you're able to attend. This is a teaser for our upcoming. Now I'm going to try to say it right. I think it's the Ouroboros campaign, which would be in reference to the snake eating its tail. Yes. But some people say it differently, like the Ouroboros, which I find to be strange. So we're going to go with Ouroboros, the Ouroboros campaign.
From hordes?
No, it's actually a word, Josh, in the English
thing. It's not trademarkable.
It's not trademarkable. It's actually a thing. But anywho, it's Ouroboros campaign is going to be our narrative event, and this is going to be a three-parter. But the first part takes place. It's a one-day narrative event. It's going to be 2 rounds. The first. I can give you a little bit of details now that you guys are going to be privy to here. Is the first? There's going to be 2 rounds. The first round is going to be a 2,000-point game. It's going to be heavily narratively driven, so no named characters. And then there'll be events that happen in the first round, depending on how everybody does. Things that they uncover, if they have victories here and there, it'll affect the second round, which is going to be, for the first time in our club history, a gigantic Age of Sigmar game, like an APOC level Age of Sigmar game.
It will take 4 days to complete.
It's going to be 4 days that we complete in 1 day. So and it's going to be a lot of fun. And this is, like I said, specifically a narrative-driven event. So it's going to be only order versus destruction. There's not going to be any other factions. So yeah, it's an opportunity for you to flesh out your story. And if you didn't catch the video yet, a little background into what's going on is the story takes place on the Sapient Coast, which I invented, but it is in the realm of Gairan, a little bit to the south of the Living City, actually, on the coastline. And what has ended up happening is there's an ancient legend of this crystal and this artifact that has been turned into an amulet, that the bearer of the amulet could hold it up, and when they stare deeply into it, gaze upon its depths, they have access to the full knowledge of all mortals that have existed up to this point in the history.
That sounds pretty OP.
So,
is it the Crystal Skull?
It is. No. It was rumored to be created by this ancient sage who ended up making this very advanced kingdom. And back in the no. Anyway, Sigmar was on his travels before Chaos really came back, and he came across this. He saw the sage, met the sage, and then when Sigmar beheld the amulet, he became so
video
enraged. The video stopped, and and he struck down the sage, took the amulet, destroyed the kingdom, laid it to waste, laid it to ruin, and he hid the amulet away to never be found again.
Is it the last old one?
It's an amulet. So, so anyway, that's the story so far. That's where we're at so far. That's what you know so far. And you guys have all seen the video. So I wanted to get your impressions and perhaps what you are thinking of bringing to the event.
Well, I think for me, a lot is going to depend on whether or not there is actually a new ogre book coming. I mean, it seems pretty likely. So if that happens, the big boys will be coming out of the closet. Wait. Anyway, the Warhammer closet. Goddamn. Anyway, yeah. So I mean, if there's a good ogre book coming, I'm gonna probably swap to them. If not, I might try and finish Iron Jaws. But then again, that depends on whether I can scrounge together enough money to buy a mall pressure. Yeah.
Cool.
Just get a head of broccoli.
I mean, it's close enough. I will add this in.
Ridiculous.
I'm actually making a requirement this year that submitted with your army list, you have to give at least 300 words of fluff.
How's Carter going to play?
Intelligible.
No, it's going to be part of it. So you have to sign up and you have to write your fluff. We're going to do it.
Like an actual story, though. Not just unintelligible words.
What I have not released to you yet in the packet, like I said, since you guys are on the live stream, a little preview information. I did include a few things that you might want to be considering. Like because I'm going to have a story background too as part of the packet and leading up to the event. We'll have I'm going to try to make a video. I hope I can. But what'll happen is it's got some questions. Like, how did your character, because there's no name characters, you have to bring your own general. How did your character get to where he is now? Like, how is he involved in this? How did he get to the area of the Sapient Coast in Guyran? How did he end up joining whichever faction he's a part of? And what do you hope to accomplish? What do your characters hope to get out of being a part of this? If you can answer those 3 questions, that's 3 paragraphs. You should have 300 words. It's like a half a page, for God's sakes. So, oh God. Well, you can't play unless you do your backstory. So I'm doing it. I'm nailing it.
You said 300 words. I will make something up.
Yeah, here's Josh Bruce's. Blah, 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 blah.
Just blah 300 times.
Oh, anywho, I'm trying.
I'm excited about that. I'm ready. Like I don't know what the orc story would be.
Listen,
I mean,
you know how I roll on my narrative stuff, though. You might be getting some bonuses for your well done fluff.
Story.
If I print it out and make it look all cool and legit, does that make
Oh yeah, you gotta stain it with some tea leaves and make it look like it's old. And yeah, it's the old.
Right.
This is my story. It's just so old you can't read it anymore. That's how integrated in the fluff that Josh was.
She was in bed with a
I
book.
was just going to do a stone tablet.
Oh my God, a stone tablet. No, see, Mike will bring fire slayers, and it'll just be a bowl full of ashes, and just be like, well, the magma draw ate it.
but anywho, that's the lead up. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. It's going to be happening on September 7th. So if you're listening along and you want to join in and you're in the Lancaster, Pennsylvania area, feel free to sign up. It's going to be $12 for non-LWG members and $10 for LWG members. So,
ooh, $2 off.
Yeah. I didn't feel like 15 to 12 made sense on this one. I don't want to keep people away. So that'll be coming up on the 7th. Then in October, we are going to be having an Age of Sigmar tournament, little in-house thing. Not a huge GT or anything, but just a straight up normal tournament just for funsies. So that'll be happening. And then I know in either November, it's either going to be in November or December, they're going to be doing an Apocalypse 40K event.
Narrative apocalypse.
Narrative based, but using the new APOC rules. So Seth is going to be running that with that, and that's kind of exciting. And then we are also planning on doing part 2 of the Ouroboros campaign. So part one is the Sapient Coast. part 2 is yet to be revealed. So,
Right.
okay, so that's our announcements, and then we'll be moving. What's the next thing? What do we want to hit next? Sylvaneth.
Sylvaneth. They're terrible now, right?
No trees. No.
They're hot garbage. Sell all your trees.
Sell your
Sell them all to us.
Make some mulch. That's all I'm saying.
They're not that bad. Well, anywho, we got the chance to put up a battle report recently with the new Sylvaneth book. And we got to showcase John's beautifully painted Sylvaneth, and I thought it was a fun game. There was actually quite a bit of feedback on the video. A lot of people were saying you should have dropped the bow hunters in favor of swords. And I have seen quite a bit of talk in other places, but obviously we have 2 Sylvaneth players here, and John and Josh. Why don't you guys take us away? Impressions of the new book, and then we'll briefly go through some of the stuff.
Well, let me start with the reason there were not sword hunters because they are currently on painting table. That is why they were not in the video. So,
Right.
Continue. Sorry for interrupting.
Oh, you want me to continue?
Yeah.
Well, I think we can run through Sylvaneth pretty quick. It's one of those like Sigmar 3.0 upgrades, or is it 2.5, 3.0, where you just get endless spells and maybe a new terrain piece. And I think we're unique that we did get a new hero, the Arch Revenant. He's like our melee hero. We haven't really had a little melee hero, so that's kind of a cool thing to add. His command trait allows another unit to get +1 attack, I think. So that's a cool little thing that we haven't had before, like a melee hero. That's pretty cool. It's nice having a not caster hero. Someone who doesn't just get evaporated in combat. It's pretty cool. And he moves 12, which is cool. Like he flies a little bit, unless you kill his bug. But I think the biggest change is they got rid of the one-drop Sylvaneth sort of way of building an army. They have the Wargroves now, which are like chapter tactics or storm hosts or whatever the GW equivalent is of chapter tactics, where you choose a Wargrove, and the Wargrove comes with abilities, but then you also are locked into a specific command trait for the first hero you have, a specific artifact for the first hero you have, things like that. So all the Gnarlroot, the Dreadwood, the Oakenbrow, the Harvest Boon, the Winterleaf, those are now chapter tactics you can take to get the benefits, or you can sort of make your own Wargrove up and do it like normal. So you would have to choose battalions and choose artifacts that way.
Yeah, it's basically what they've been doing with a lot of the factions. Feck got the same treatment. So
it's the standard GW fare.
Right. So you're losing your one drop. You're losing your. I took a Dreadwood list and I go first, and I can appear like 9 inches away from you with my whole army and jump on you, and you can never recover. You sort of lose that sort of gimmicky list, which I think is a good thing. But it definitely makes it harder because you lost things like the Gnarlroot lost the ability for all of his wizards to cast 2 spells, which is a huge.
But that was crazy.
Yes and no. The tax you pay for having to take a Tree Lord Ancient and the other things.
He says tax, but a tax on a 2-cast wizard, though.
Right. But we live in a world where grave seers exist and slaughter priests exist. So I mean,
hey, slaughter priests don't do magic. No.
They can cast 2
wizard in the game.
Yeah.
No, but the only reason I say that is it was a bit excessive. First, because you got 3. It was 3 battalions you got.
3 battalions.
And all your wizards turned to 2 casts, which is crazy. I mean,
it was usually 2. So it was usually the Wargrove, and then there was a battalion inside the Wargrove.
But still, 2 battalions. You're getting 2 extra artifacts, 2 command points, double cast wizards everywhere. That's pretty excessive. And I think comparing them to Skaven, which everybody knows are excessive, is you got to compare them to something like normal, like Stormcast, that's like the default normal army. All their wizards are 1 cast except for the super expensive guy. So I thought that was a very powerful thing.
So I think Sylvaneth are sort of an unsung hero. I feel like everyone views them as a nerf. I feel like they are a strong tier 2 army, but I feel like they are not going to be the meta army that everyone goes out and buys and runs at tournaments. They're going to be more of a collector's army, but I think the people that know how to play the army will surprise people and could pull out some GT wins or some high placings. But they are not going to be the auto take, auto meta, like find the loophole and exploit it army.
Well, that's almost where they were previous to the book. To be honest, they weren't cleaning house or anything. They were the thinking man's army, and they were very one-dimensional. There was only really one thing you could do with them. I feel like now there are multiple ways you can go. None of them are like crazy. They're not going to blow people off the side of the board or anything in one turn, but they're still the thinking man's army. But now you have more options.
Yeah, the army's really small this time, though. I feel like it's very elite based.
Well, what are you thinking? Because honestly, I thought Dryad spam might even be like a really good thing.
I guess you could do that, but then hunters are so good.
And so you would go expensive. You would go hunter heavy?
Yeah, like the first game I played with the new book, I think I had 9 hunters, 15 splite revs, and then 2 Dirthus. And that was the whole army.
Did you do any summoning?
Well, no, there was 2 of the branch wraiths, so they could do they could summon dryads, but I never actually cast the spell. But, Thermal Rider Cloak Dirthu is a beast. seeing over his own woods and shooting people like some bow hunters and then charging them like he owns the building. It's good stuff.
I mean, if you could get him in, he does work. That's for sure.
I mean, he does move 5 inches now, so he's got a speed boost.
Does he only move 5?
He's only moved 5.
He's only moved 5, yeah. It's an
that's true. I guess you're trees. You can't make it quick. So,
Thermal Rider Cloak doubles his move, basically.
Yeah,
I mean, you'd think with those big legs, he'd be able to. I don't know. That's
he teleports through the
woods. But right, I think they have their trick still. And I was noticing, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. Again, I'm not a Sylvaneth player, but I feel like the woods both lost some utility, but gained a whole bunch more utility that you didn't have before.
Well, you can make the sizes so different.
Yeah.
Like you can combine any 3 woods pieces. So like if you buy it or have enough, you can use in each box there's like 2 kind of ones with like bigger arms, and then one that has like these really tiny little like T-Rex arms on the side. So you can make like if you need to get it in a certain space, you can make a pretty small woods to get it somewhere where you need to teleport.
Do they have to be in a circle?
Yeah.
They have to touch tips.
So it has to be a circle.
Yeah, they has to be connected. Yeah, all tips have to touch.
Okay, but you could squish them together.
Just the tip has to touch.
Just the tip.
Not the whole aroused wood, tip of the aroused wood.
But what I was noticing some people doing was they were growing them in the enemy zone, their first one that they got, and using it to attack with it, doing AOE attacks with it was actually pretty effective.
Yeah. People have been trying out is it the witch bomb or whatever, or the witch just teleports in and spams their mortal wound thing. Is that what that one is, John?
Yeah.
The spell that she has, the AOE mortal wound spell.
Yeah. It's like 9 inches, but then you can take whatever to extend the range. Yeah.
Yeah. But
the Silverwood Circle, or whatever it's called. Yeah.
Apparently, people are really liking Drycha. I have not used her yet.
I think she's amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
the game we have on the channel when I played John with my Corn, I thought she was doing some really good work. And from my perspective as the Corn player, she was a massive threat. And I was telling John about it. Like, I didn't know how I was going to get to it. Now, in the game, if you watch, I chucked the Wrath Axe at her and it just chopped her in half because I got lucky.
Died. Yeah.
But no, but I got lucky.
Points.
No, I mean,
The two cast Slaughter Priest cast the axe and Blood Boil and killed her.
you know, if John would have been more smart, he could have put his Dryads around Drycha so the Wrath Axe can't get in there and hit her. But what do I know? What do I know?
Ooh, shots fired.
But anywho, the point is, if I wouldn't have been able to do that, I think she would have had a massive impact on the game. In fact, I think she would have swung that entire game in the Sylvaneth favor if she would have not been just killed by the Wrath Axe. I mean,
according to the interwebs, and I tend to agree. She's a glass cannon. Like yes, she can put out some offense, but she does not have any defense. Like she will go down if you can put serious hits into her. She'll go down. She doesn't have a lot of ways to negate mortal wounds or heal herself or things like that. I mean, so she is sort of a glass cannon, which I think plays into her fluff where she's like this angry tree spirit, like angry tree dreadnought, and she just like is raging out, and it makes sense that she would be sort of a glass cannon, that she's just raging and she's not looking for defense, you know. So I think it does that.
Yeah, no, I agree to a certain extent. I think she can be protected very well within the rule set that your book has. For instance, like I said, it's easy to protect her from endless spells if you just put Dryads around her so the endless spells can't land. Some of them might be able to fly over and do some damage, but you know, you can pre-measure. You can use blocking out with Dryads to your advantage there. The heck is that noise?
That's me, my bad. Hold on.
And I think, again, I agree with you that she is very weak to being picked out by shooting. However, you have a tremendous power in your book to just block line of sight shooting. Now, I understand that she's a shooting unit too, but you have the advantage. You can set up trees to block off shooting against her, and then she moves pretty quick. She has a pretty quick move. Move her. Then she can move out and kind of do like a Tau thing where she like jumps out from behind the line of sight blocking terrain and unloads her shots. You know what I mean? So I think there are ways, if you're thinking ahead and planning that and see those threats in the enemy army, that you can counter with what you have in your book.
Yeah, so Drycha's more of a finesse piece. Yeah.
I'd agree with that statement. Yeah, she's not Scarbrand. You're not just going to run her.
For sure.
Well, you're going to run her in. So
Scarbrand.
Yeah. But anywho, I think there's some. Heck, maybe even the Palisades. The Palisades could help in that because you could start doing the old school like Rhino sniper thing that we used to do, where you would block out. You're using your Wildwood and you're using the Palisade to create just like a little arrow loop for Drycha. So she could shoot units and only like one model from the opposing army could see her in return.
Right.
You know, you can do, there's some things in there I think you can do to play around with getting her to negate that squishiness that she has. But I mean, still, she has a 3-up save. Put her in some terrain. She's 2-up save. Like that's.
Is she a monster?
Is she a monster?
Only we had a way to find out.
That's a good question, actually, Nate.
Where is she? Where is she? She's a monster.
Anyway,
she is okay,
yeah.
But still, a 3-up save base is solid against most shooting. I mean, against my Judicators, you're still gonna have a 4-up save. That's good. I mean, let's be real. A 3-up save is the best save you can get. So, without other kinds of buffs. So, I think she has play. I think she's usable for sure. She's deadly. And then What were some other things you were looking at? Maybe some of the lists you're looking at building? Because, like you said, we don't have to go through everything. They didn't change a whole heck of a lot, did they? Mostly just battalions and stuff.
Well, I think one of the biggest changes is the Awakened Wildwood is a new model, and they changed the charge and run through it on the model is slain. It is now in every charge phase. If you're within 1 inch of it, on a 6 you take D3 mortal wounds or some shit.
D3 mortal, yeah.
Yeah, it's D3. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have to be within 1 inch at the
It's like a whatever thing now.
end of the charge phase. Where did that go?
End of the charge phase, yeah.
But still, I mean, that's something, and comboing it with all the other ways to activate your woods, I think is pretty solid overall.
Yeah.
Just got to make sure you can get people near them.
And maybe if you don't tell people about the new rules, they might just assume that it's as bad as it was before.
Well, I mean, if you're using them wisely, they're not going to be able to avoid them.
Yeah.
Really.
I think it's definitely a nerf from what it was, because though on a 1 the model is slain, it definitely kept elite armies out of the woods, for sure.
Yeah.
So, I mean, no matter how you slice that, it's a nerf.
Yeah, because if I was playing against you with ogres, the ogres would just stand at the edge of the woods and shout at you until you came out, because they wouldn't want to be there.
I mean, exactly. Any kind of knife, 2 or 3 wounds, I mean, losing a model is a big deal. I mean, Iron Jaws hated that thing, you know.
Yeah, because all their models are more than 1 wound, so.
Right.
Now, so you can still awaken the woods to do D3 more, right? To everything around it.
Yep, all that.
So you got that there, and then the new tree does the new endless spell.
Well, let's get to the spell.
Okay, all right.
I think the other thing to talk about is the big change were the tree lords. All the tree lords, their stomp changed from on a 4+. It was -1 to hit, which was really freaking good because it could also stack, which was nice. It could stack with things like the Griff Feather Charm, so you're getting like -2 to hit a Tree Lord Ancient, which was just bananas. 2, whoever is hit by that on a 4+, it always strikes last, which I feel like is sort of an undiscovered thing that people are just beginning to sort of experiment with and try out. Like I said, I was just reading a list from a guy this week that was spamming Tree Lords, and even took Alariel to summon another Tree Lord just to get 4 Tree Lords, and just like throwing them in, and like it was doing damage because they all could go before the enemy could go. So you're hitting with 4 Tree Lords. I mean,
well, and
damage, I've had first-hand experience with that actually. Now I was playing Carter, so he didn't actually get to roll dice, so you can't blame it on him.
Hearts Carter.
I had Durthu charge into 6 hunters, and he stomped them, so they struck last, and then in one fell swoop, he killed all of them.
Nice.
Just with his sword.
Well, I mean, we've discussed this before. Always strikes first, always strike last is arguably the most powerful mechanic in the entire game, just because of the way it functions with the game. And it's nice, if you have 2 Tree Lords in, they both get a chance on a 4+ to make them go last. Whereas Slaanesh only gets 1 shot. Now theirs is a little more reliable with the keepers, but okay, it's 1,000 times more reliable. But we won't get into that. But they only have 1 shot. If they roll a 1, they can't try again, right? If you roll a 1, you can try again. If you have 3 in, you can try 2 more times, and that is solid. I think it's very solid support for a block of hunters. Have a Tree Lord on each side. I think Tree Lords, for what they bring, okay, I'm going to say it. They're not that great for 200 points. But they're better than dank old Trog bosses who are more expensive. Like they're not terrible. I think people just expected more out of them and are a little on the disappointed side and not seeing the value in them as much. And I think they're really valuable. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well-
this dump has been pretty huge.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where when you take it out in the void and you say, well, how does this compare to this other thing? Or, that's irrelevant sometimes, because if for your book it provides you the only way to stop the always strikes first Terrorgeist stuff from happening, or at least, I guess, mitigate it, it's worth the 200 points then,
Well, and if you follow my math, if you have two of them in, they both need a 4+ to stop you. That's like 100% chance right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, statistically, yes, it's 100% chance.
John.
You and me.
John says it's
roll.
75. So.
You and me to roll. Yeah. I mean, just take it.
But still, the point is, I think there's something there that people are overlooking, and you're definitely right. Yeah. So, okay, and I see. So, what are some other things you guys are seeing there? What about bow hunters? Because that was a big discussion we had previous
Really
to the book
good.
coming out.
Well, do you want to go, Josh?
Yeah, so they're still, I mean, they didn't change, so they're still good, but they gained, which one of the wardrobes is it? Heartwood, I think it is.
I think it's Heartwood.
Where it's Heartwood, where they can reroll all their failed hits, or reroll ones, or something. It's something really good. As long as there's a hero nearby.
So Heartwood, the artifact of power you must take on a Heartwood hero, your first hero, is called the Horn of the Consort. You can reroll hit rolls for all attacks made by friendly Heartwood Kurnoth hunters wholly within 12 inches of the bearer. So what they'll do is they'll have an Arch Revenant or something sit back there and or a Branch Wraith and babysit them, and just give them rerolls to hit, which is
amazing,
really good. That's really freaking good with the squad of 6 or 9 bow hunters. That's freaking terrifying, actually.
I agree. They're deadly. Yeah.
They really are. Something else I didn't mention earlier about Durthu, he's practically 3 hunters in one.
With a shooting attack. Yeah.
You got the same shooting attack as 3 regular hunters. Super good. Anyway. Bow hunters, great. Winterleaf sword hunters, great.
Yeah, because there's been now. This is the talk that's always been around in all the forums. It's all Winterleaf all the time. Frozen trees everywhere. Apparently, there's no other options to take.
Exploding Sickness is amazing.
I mean,
there's options, but
it's okay.
Exploding Sickness is amazing.
I'm not going to go in. I won't quantify it myself as amazing. I think it's good. it's
very good.
It's not. It's not always. It's not attack again. It's not always strikes first, but it's good. So, yeah.
Yeah, it does allow everything in your army to potentially double their attacks, though.
And it does have a strike again.
Winterleaf does have a strike again, yes.
Yeah.
Well, right. Okay. Once per game. It's
all you need.
This isn't Fire Slayer. Spending the command point every turn kind of nonsense going on. So, but right. It's just, I don't know. I'm on the internet, and maybe I'm wrong, because, again, I'm not a Sylvaneth player. But I look at it, and it's like nobody sees anything but Winterleaf, and I think that that's wrong.
Right. It's definitely one of the stronger options. There's other choices, though.
I mean, is there a stealth one that you think is good? Kind of like the way I prefer Blister Skin to Gristlegore? I mean...
I prefer Blister Skin, too, but... I just happen to have all the Terrorgeists. So
no, he's talking about Sylvaneth, though.
Yeah.
Because
not the one that lets them ally with dwarves. That's terrible.
The Iron Bark thing?
Ironwood.
Like that.
Iron Bark.
It's terrible.
John, which one were you running?
So I originally started with the Harvest Boon, which lets you reroll ones for attacks if you charged. Lets you do the Griffhound attack and move thing. After you attack, you can move 6 inches, which is really strong.
With everybody?
No, with it's a command trait, so it's the guy who has it. But I was putting down the Arch Revenant, and it was really good. So he could run in, hit something, do 6 damage, and then move 6 inches out of combat,
That's
he do that, which
Super
is
good.
really, really strong. With his movement and supporting the hunters, he would always be in position where I needed him to be. So I feel like that was really strong. I've actually been looking at more recently, going back to my roots, pun intended, going back to the Gnarl root, which even though it took what I think is a huge nerf, I still think it's really good. You get to reroll attacks of 1, hit rolls of 1 for attacks if you're within 12 inches of a wizard. And I can heal on spell casts. If I cast a spell, I can heal nearby units.
Yeah.
Which is really good.
That's really
And once per hero phase, I can roll 3 dice and take the 2 that I want per spell, and that is not just on deep lore like the artifact is. That is on any spell. So I'm thinking of using that for the summoning one when I need that, and then also taking the artifact for the deep lore spell to bring back the hunters that I need to bring back. So I feel like the combination of summoning plus bring back hunters is really strong. And
I think the amount of healing that the army can put out is actually pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So like you could take in a bunch of like tree lords and stuff just because they have a lot of wounds. If they don't kill that, it's likely you could almost heal that thing to full by your turn.
That's crazy.
Right. And I'm leaning towards a Tree Lord Ancient. I originally swore them off. I was pissed off.
They're too expensive.
But I think they're growing on me again, pun intended again.
Oh my god.
Because
So many puns.
Because now instead of when a 4+ they summon a tree, they automatically summon a tree per game, which is really strong when you need it. And then you can also arouse a tree within 24 inches.
What are you
really
arousing?
good.
That's the one I was. Yes, that's the one I was watching a report where a guy had a Tree Lord Ancient, and he made his first drop tree, the free one, in like the enemy deployment zone, like right in the middle. And every turn he was just like, boom, take all these mortal wounds everywhere. They're like, that's amazing. That's super strong over the course of the whole game.
Yeah.
You block out an area, the heroes can't stand near it. Like it's almost like the comet. It's pretty good.
Right. Plus, I like him moving up with the hunters, giving them reroll hits of 1, and also giving them that potential of you always strike last when you're in combo with the hunters, which is a place you don't want to be. So yeah, and then his command ability, letting hunters reroll 1s for their save roll 2, meaning I don't have to plant roots necessarily with them. I really like him in support of hunters, so like keeping the tree lord sort of up with the hunters because they both move like really slow, but they keep pace with each other. Whereas the revenant is like super fast, and he like outmaneuvers everything. So he's a little hard to keep with the hunters, I would say.
And this is honestly maybe one of the reasons why the Sylvaneth book is being poorly received by the community is because you guys were so used to playing a specific way, where you didn't really want to engage in melee. You didn't, and this is no insult. It's just I think noticing something. You as Sylvaneth players in the previous book really never had to engage in a melee fight, a real melee fight, right? You always set things up and knocked them down. You didn't actually have to. How do I approach a combat, right? And I think it's a different mentality. It's a different way to go about the game that maybe you guys aren't used to. As a kid,
it's a. I think the way the army plays is totally different. So 100% different.
And I'll share a little bit. Hold on.
Let's be fair though too.
Oh, okay.
The most popular list pre the new General's Handbook and the new book, there was either the majority of people either ran Dreadwood, which was all offense in your get in your grill turn 1 and cripple you so you could not even start the game, or you played Gnarl Root, which was like a defensive army. Like you played sort of, you would counter what the enemy had. Some people were getting some use out of either the Heartwood or the Harvestborn, the one that you could just keep bringing back Dryads in Infinity, and you like Dryad spam. Some people were getting some use out of that one too. But then again, that was more just like board control. So now
and this is what I was talking about. Yeah,
you're having to do all three with the same army, which is changing how people play for sure.
Like, because I always thought that the previous way was just to Dryad block off the whole board, tie them up, and just regenerate and hold the objectives and win. Where now it's not quite, it doesn't work like that anymore, where you're actually having to engage in a melee fight with all the supporting elements and this kind of stuff. This same thing happened when I played Khorne. It's a gameplay mentality shift. When I used to play Khorne before, it was when I played Mortals, it was literally just, I have created the meat grinder. I literally just run in as fast as I can and chop everything to pieces. That actually does not function anymore. You can't do that in Khorne anymore. You can't just walk in. Turn one, I can't just run everything forward anymore. I have to maintain like a disciplined fighting block. I have to make sure all my buffs are in the right places. I have to move together as an army, and then I can break out an attack. I played it a couple times where if I just run in, I die every time. I lose all I get picked apart. And I think I'm not going to say Sylvaneth. I don't know what the new mentality.
No.
I just think it's a change in mentality. So
Yeah.
yeah, I agree. The idea of having like
Can I get a couple paper bags though?
the idea of having like a just muted. The idea of having this block of hunters in the middle, and this is what me and John were talking about, with the Tree Lord Ancient on one side, and then maybe a little Tree Lord on the other side to hold up the flanks and be those debuffers, be those support units that you never really needed to do something like that before, because you could just teleport or use Infinity Dryads to shut things down. So, yeah, I think it's good. I think it's just a different way to look at it. And I'm rambling, so.
And I would say too, it's not like when the Skaven book came out, there were like the clear broken loophole things where you're like, okay, the Endless Spell is completely out of control. The Grey Seer is completely out of control. Like, those are auto-include. This is how you run your army. This is how you play this army. This is like, all these things seem sort of reasonable. Not really sure what's the auto take, what's going to be, the competitive thing right off the gate. I think it's a good thing for the game in general. It's just I think some of players are a little salty that they don't have that broken crutch loophole that they were hoping for that some of the other new armies got.
Yeah.
At the gate.
Well, stages agree. You'll get over it.
I think we should at least touch on the Endless Spell before we go.
Yeah, let's do that, and then we'll just wrap her up here and go on to the next topic.
Yeah. So they got 3 new Endless Spells. One was Gyarados, or Glade Worm, if you will.
I like him.
And it goes off on a 7. And it basically hurts you and heals me. It only can be cast by Sylvaneth players. It only affects Sylvaneth players for the healing. On a 3+, so it moves, and then each unit within 1 inch of it on a 3+ takes D3 mortal wounds.
No, wait, hold up. Let's do this whole thing just so I can process.
Okay.
So it's a 7 to cast. How far away can you place it?
So you set it up wholly within 6 inches of the caster, and it moves 8 inches and can fly or burrow, if you will.
Okay.
So max range of like 14.
But then it doesn't. Now, does it hit everything it passes, or does it only do an AOE on that when it comes out?
So after it has moved, everything within 1 inch of it that is not a Sylvaneth model on a 3+ takes D3 mortal wounds.
Ooh, 3+. That's good.
Yeah. But it's not move over, it's land. So you can't milk, as much as you could with some of the other spells like Geminate or something. And then the same thing, but if a Sylvaneth unit is wholly within 6 inches on a 3-up, they heal D3 wounds.
So that's a really good support unit for this this ancient hunter line that you're talking about.
Right.
I like it.
But wholly within 6 is kind of narrow, especially if you're trying to string some dryads out. Like, I feel like it is going to be hard, and it's healing, so it only really affects like the bigger heroes, the hunters.
Right. So then you don't care about dryads, do you?
Shut up, Nate.
I was thinking the same thing.
Well, it's
Sir, Nate's been disconnected from the Google chat.
Well, look at it this way, though. If it's got a short range, to be fair, that is pretty short. But again, if you're using the Tree Lord Ancient on the flank of the hunters, this is a spell that you're not looking to just chuck this out every turn. It's not that kind of a spell. It's a specifically targeted support spell for the front lines. That's the way I'm looking. And if he's off on the side, he's going to be able to put it behind the unit they're fighting against. It'll move over, AoE everything in that area, and heal your hunters.
Right.
I think it's good.
It's 100% better than the Night Haunt spell that's somewhat similar, except with the Night Haunt one, you have to pick its healing or wounding, and then it just does D3 damage to everything, or D3 heals, and it's I mean, you can just plop it into the middle of a melee, and it's like, oh, heals me, hurts you. So it's like it's
Yeah, but the Night Haunt one can be used against you.
Right, exactly. The Night Haunt one hurts me. Makes me a little upset.
Does the damage not affect Sylvaneth units?
Correct.
Oh, see, that makes it even better for a frontliner there. I like it, and it can be used to block also on the front line, so that something can't countercharge your Tree Lords.
Yeah, that's what I was going to add too. Is they did release a little blurb about if you have the old woods, you can still use the old woods too, which have the trees as part of the wood. So the base of the glade worm can definitely span between trees and sort of block off charging lanes. If you want it to, it can definitely take up some space too.
But that's assuming you play as if the trees can't be moved, which has been.
I mean, that's true. That's a solid point. Yeah, a lot of people do move them. I personally don't like that, but it seems to be very common, especially in competitive environments. But hey, whatever. Okay, what are the other endless spells?
So the second one is the Spite Swarm Hive, the little bees or gnats or whatever you want to call them, the lantern flies. So this casts on a 7 as well, so the whole 7s. Set up wholly within 15 inches of the caster, so a longer range there. And at the end of the hero phase, if this model's on the battlefield, you can pick one of the effects listed below. You can pick either Vital Venoms, which roll a dice for each Sylvaneth unit wholly within 8 inches of the model. On a 2+, add 3 inches to the normal moves and charge moves of that unit. So wholly within 8. On a 2+, add 3 inches to moves and charge moves. So a really good
it's the whip
support spell. Helps Dirthu and the hunters with their really slow ass move get moving for that one turn where you're like, yeah, we gonna get into combat and we gonna smack you.
It's exactly the same as the whip, and you see how fast it makes the corn guys go. So
right. So you can either pick the movement one, or you can pick the shielding swarm. Whereas a unit roll a dice for each Sylvaneth unit wholly within 8 inches. On a 2+, they basically have Mystic Shield.
Okay.
So it's Mystic Shield for it's like an AoE Mystic Shield.
Yeah. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Does the Tree Lord Ancient still do reroll saves?
Yes, save rolls a 1.
So he does that. So if you have an Ancient, you should be using the move part if you're doing this thing.
Or you can save your command points and cast a spell instead.
That's true. That's true.
And save your command points for the rerolling ones to hit or rerolling ones to wound or the other ones,
No.
I like the worm better so far, but yes.
Or it's like they summoned a pet to go along with the unit.
Right. Or you hit this. You know, a lot of people are taking 2 squads of hunters, so the one squad gets hit with a swarm, and the other squad can take the Tree Lord Ancient spell. I think
that's true.
So, but still, hold within 8 is still you gotta be really close to it. So you really have to map out your moves. I don't think this one moves, so you really gotta like make sure you know what you're doing. Really good for castling up, but
or once you're stuck in,
right,
you have your front line, they get stuck in, and then because hunters are excellent at getting stuck in. It's few and far between units that can take out 6 hunters in one go.
Right.
So once you're stuck in, you could have your other squad of hunters or something else behind that. Now you're catapulting around that combat in the middle. That could be very, very strong. Yeah.
Or you're running your quad Tree Lords and you're throwing that down, and now you're adding charge rolls into charge rolls, or you're re-rolling saves of 1 for things that have 3-up saves. I mean, that's really good.
I'll tell you what I'm seeing.
Too.
I'm seeing a Tree Lord Ancient, 6 Scythe Hunters, and Durthu back off the front line a little bit on the right side. Tree Lord Ancient on the left side of the hunters. They go in and get stuck in. Then you catapult Durthu around the back and just murder whatever you want. Because no one will see that coming.
Yeah.
Well, they will now. You just told them about it. What the hell?
No. You know how people, when they're in the middle of the game, they're like, I got to kill these hunters. They're the big threat. I know Durthu's back there, but he's way back there. Oh, look, he's killing my back line. Like, look, I like that. That, and supported with the other elements of your army that could teleport around to on the other side too. That could be a real big thing.
Like the tree revs that can now teleport wherever the heck they want.
Oh, they're so good. They're so good.
Oh, I forgot about that, Josh. Yeah. Definitely.
So good.
What's the last endless spell?
Last endless spell is the Vengeful Skull Root or the Vagina Tree.
Listen. No, don't be corrupting everyone. So I know once you see it, you can't unsee it. No, no one in their right mind thinks that at first until you corrupt them, and then now you can't unsee it. Oh, all right. What's it do?
I mean, it's not a Brazilian vagina, but it's a vagina.
Depends what color you paint it, I guess. So.
Well, I painted it flesh colored, so it goes off on a 6. It head up, set up, hold within 6 inches of the caster, and can move 8 inches. So again, a 14-inch threat range. If a unit fails a battle shock test within 3 inches of any model with ability, add D3 to the number of models that flee.
Okay.
Pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah, does not affect trees because it's a tree. And if so this one, if it moves over you or is within 3, yes, each unit that it has passed across will suffer D3 mortal wounds. And if you are within 3 inches of an awakened wildwood, you suffer D6 mortal wounds.
When it passes over you.
Yeah.
Oh, and that was automatic?
Automatic.
That's amazing.
It's a huge base, though.
Well, but that's good for you, though.
Yeah, pretty large base, yeah.
But you can use it to block. That coupled with the worm and your trees is good.
And she makes it easier.
I would agree that not a lot of players are going to use for these endless spells. It may or may not do a whole hell of a lot in the battle.
Right.
Right. Well, you don't have to take everything either. You can look at your strategy, what you want to accomplish, the way you're building your list, and which spells support that the best. Yeah. I think they're all solid, though. Some people have gotten way worse spells than that.
Night Haunt.
Yeah. Wait a minute. We didn't get any spells. Get out of here.
Yeah.
We don't have any magic.
Shut up.
You got spells that can't be countered and are easy to cast.
That's because they're not spells, Josh.
Well,
I like my voodoo magic face. It's like stealth magic.
I want some Flesh Eater Courts priests. Can we do that?
Nope.
My Flesh Eater Courts worship the sun, like literally. So like they should have a priest. Like that would make a lot more sense.
Right.
Nope.
Right. So to end the Sylvaneth discussion, the other thing they got was all the wizards know the summon trees spell now. So which is a big deal. Previously, there was only a certain number of ways to cast trees, and you would have to take the specific spell lore to cast it, or the acorn, or a tree lord ancient, or get really ass lucky with Alariel's spear or whatever. But now that each wizard automatically knows the castings of the trees, I feel like you can really spread your army out, and there's more of a threat that anybody could just throw down a tree anywhere and begin the teleporting and begin the arousals and do that. So I do feel like that will change the army too.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, final thoughts on all this stuff. Do you have a list that you want to try next? Maybe that's a good place to end, and then we can move on.
You want to go, Josh, and I'll look mine up.
Yeah. So the list that I'm just gonna keep running it and see if I can get it to work or if I need to totally retweak it. It is two battalions. So we're doing the Outcast Battalion for Battle Line. So it's 3 Spite Rebs and the Outcast Battalion. So you get that for $290, I think.
What's the Outcast do?
It's just 3 Spite Rebs, and it's stupid. It's just if things run away in Battle Shock, they add additional D3.
Okay.
If they're within range of the Spite Rebs.
No, you can scream in the hero phase or something if you're within like 2
No, that's the old one.
units of it. No. All right.
Yeah.
Look it up.
And then the other one's the one
We're not done yet.
The other one is a Durthu and 3 Hunter units. And that just lets them, if they run, it's an automatic 6, which is pretty nice. No command points needed.
That's really good. Do you have any way to run and charge?
No.
Okay. But still, an auto 6 run is good. Yeah.
And the fact that their 5 movement is ridiculously slow. So they're basically all effectively 11-inch movement with that battalion, which is nice.
Well, it lets you steal objectives and stuff. I like that.
It does. And then it's 2 branch rates, another Durthu, and an Arch Rev. And it's like 2,000 points right on the nose, I think. It worked well in the first game I played with it. Tabled Carter.
He was playing trees too, right?
He was playing trees too, yeah. But tabled Durthu just did so much work. Holy crap!
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so that's the list I'm working on and seeing how it goes against other non-Carter-esque armies.
What are you running, John?
So Josh was right. It is the failed Battle Shock and extra D3 models will flee. Yeah.
These 2 battalions used to be so much better.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to the club. Everybody's battalions get worse.
No, so the one with the Durthu and the 3 hunters in the hero phase, they just got another move.
Yeah. We got a free
So much
move.
better. You got a free move in the hero phase.
You can move dirt through 10 inches a turn, which is insane.
So good.
Yeah.
And still charge because you didn't have to run.
Yeah. It was way better. Anyways, I'm running. So I was running Harvest Boon. I was a little bit of everything.
It's Winterleaf. Winterleaf was mine. Yeah.
Okay.
I first started off with Harvest Boon. I ran Winterleaf in the battle report. You can check out our YouTube channel. Go check that out. Only because I didn't have the spikes painted. So and then I was running Harvest Boon with the Akash Battalion that Josh was talking about. But now I think I'm returning to my roots and trying the Gnarl route. And so my list is looking like a Tree Lord Ancient, which takes the artifact that it can roll on a 2+. It auto casts a spell from the Deepwood Spell Lore. So I'm using that to run along behind the hunters and hopefully cast the bring back a hunter spell. Well, I'm liking that. An Arch Rev, a Branch Wraith, a 2 Branch Wraiths, and 3 squads of 10 Dryad, 2 squads of Tree Revs, Min squads, 6-man squad of Sword Hunters, 6-man squad of Scythe Hunters, and a Glade Worm. And also taking the Forest Folk Battalion, which is 1 Branch Wraith, 3 squads of Dryads, and that lets you retreat and charge in the same turn. Not super impressed with how the Spite Revs were going. They are very glass cannon-y. If they hit you, they do damage, but they cannot take hits at all. And they provide very little utility outside of that. I'm liking Tree Revs for the teleporting around, just to threaten stuff that people leave alone for some reason. And I'm liking Dryads, and I want to try the Tree Lord Ancient out again. I think I can make him work. So Bluebeard is gonna make an appearance on the channel very shortly. So that's gonna happen.
Yes, I'm gonna take him on.
Yeah.
Were you gonna play with Stormcast?
Extra points, so I threw in the Glade Worm. So,
I want to see it go. Do you want to play the Stormcast?
Yeah, can't wait. I'm hiding my trees all day.
Okay, cool. Well, this is a good quick review here. I like to see how you guys are developing your armies and what's going to be coming down the pipe. So that's always exciting. And I hope that it gets unlocked. I don't think anybody's unlocked it yet. So maybe you guys will be the ones that do it. Okay, so next topic. What about... Ugh, we're not going to talk about that. Maybe it'll come up a little bit here. So we got 2 topics. I'll let you guys pick. So we could do Handbook 2019 Fallout and where we see the meta currently, which might be some Slaanesh stuff in there. And we could also talk about the new releases because there's been a heck of a lot of stuff that got teased here.
Well, I mean, I don't know. The tease stuff is exciting for me personally because they tease 2 different armies that I play. So
you release stuff first.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So basically, for those of you who have been living under a rock, there was a convention. Gosh, what was it? Games Day or something like that?
Yeah,
I can't remember. I think it was Games Day, right?
I think it's what they call it.
Yeah. GW likes to save their big releases for the hype train on their live events that they have, whether it's Games Day or some tournaments that they go to. That's where they like to release their actual new information nowadays, like previewing models ahead of time. And what they did is they previewed the upcoming Battletomes that we can expect. So the next 2 Battletomes are going to be Cities of Sigmar and Iron Jaws with some bone splitters.
Iron Jaws with some bone.
So, but yeah, I think this made a huge splash in the community.
Well, and they also released the Ogre Tyrant, right? So that is sort of hinting at
Yeah.
Ogre
We'll get to. How about we hit up Cities of Sigmar and Auric War Clans first, because then I think there are some other theories going around about that stuff.
Yeah, the last release is a bit of a question mark, I think, for everyone.
All right.
Cities of Sigmar, essentially, for those of you that haven't seen it, this is, in my opinion, a genius move from GW. Essentially what it is they're going to be taking all the old factions. These are factions of, this is like the Duarden, your classic dwarves, your classic elves, your classic dark elves, all those old armies, Empire, the holdovers from the old world that have escaped to Azir. The gates of Azir have opened. The Stormcast pushed back Chaos. We had that big, huge live event for the world, which was awesome. I love playing in that. And then a new dawning came where they started founding all these free cities around because the Stormcast threw back the hordes of chaos, and now order was establishing these strongholds. Then there was the Firestorm campaign, which introduced a lot of this stuff, which is essentially what this book is going to be making official all those factions from Firestorm. And what they are is they're basically city-states in the realms that have their own rules attached to them. Like the Ironweld Arsenal, right? Is that one? No, it's Greywater Fastness. Greywater Fastness is a city, and it was fought over in the big campaign. And essentially, they love artillery. They love all their guns. So they have rules that buff their guns. Now, that might change in the coming book. We don't know, but that's how it is in Firestorm, and that's what we expect to see more now. It's probably going to be along the same lines as Firestorm, just updated for the new era. So there's that. Now, what's really cool about this is essentially going to knock out a whole bunch of books in one release.
Yeah.
Which is going to be awesome for the game because almost, what is it? It's going to be like a ton of army ranges are going to be updated to be able to be usable in the current Age of Sigmar meta, in the current environment. I'm almost sad I sold my Empire army. Almost.
I still have most of my elves, so they'll be coming back out too.
This would be a cool opportunity to build some really sweet armies, though.
Yeah.
Like if you already have an order army, like you have a Stormcast, you could just start adding in all these other units to the army without. Well, you probably lose your Stormcast allegiance, but again, you'll get new allegiances, new artifacts, all this new stuff that you can play with, even if you're still just playing your Stormcast army, because you can just use Stormcast.
And with the ally system now, you could always throw in, 400 points of Wanderers or 400 points of Dwarden or what, Celestial Council, whatever the hell it's called. That's pretty cool.
But more importantly, I could take my exact Stormcast list that I'm running now and just change the allegiance ability to one of the free cities. So now I'm having access to all these extra rules that I did not have before. Yes, I'll lose the Stormcast ones, but you never know what you're going to gain. You never know what kind of artifacts you can pick up. There's some really cool possibilities there. So I hope that they're very varied and give play to different play styles and different tactics, not just one is just strictly this is the one that you get. Like one city has +2 to hit for everything in your army. Okay, well, no one's playing anything but them from now on. I hope that doesn't happen. So I hope they make them viable choices.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some. I mean, even like right now, there's some stuff out there that you could use your Stormcast with, like the whole Defenders of Lethis thing. I was watching a battle report where they were being extremely obnoxious by having a line of Liberators who were sitting on a 2-up save re-rolling ones because you just shine the lantern at them, and then for one command point in that particular like build, you can spend a command point, and then a unit gets +1 to their save.
Oh, that's good.
So you have Liberators, or I mean, if you were being smart, you'd probably be using Sequitors.
No, but I love stuff like this because in order to do that, you're losing other things.
Sure.
And this plug-and-play choice is actually turning out to be quite an interesting, healthy thing for the game, honestly.
Yeah.
So,
But just thinking about that got me like, ooh, I wonder, like that would be a really powerful list. I think if you could run, the big blobs of liberators, because man, those have been sitting around for a while, not getting any play. So
why not just do a huge blob of evocators?
I mean,
with the 2 up rerolling ones.
well, they wouldn't reroll ones because they don't have shields.
We'll cast Mystic Shield on them. You can take wizards.
That's true.
Or Nate, do General's Handbook command ability for 1 point.
Oh, right.
Great.
But then you'd be spending 2 command points every turn to give them that ability. But still, the command points are all over the place, right?
But anyway, that's
roll up some commanding terrain. You got all the command points you need.
That's right. Yes. Now, on top of this, we are also going to be seeing new War Scrolls for everything, new artifacts for everything, most likely new spells, but we don't know how that's going to be organized at all at this point.
Yeah.
And we will be seeing. What was I going to say? I forgot. Anywho, it's going to be. Oh, I know now. On the flip side, there's going to be some things going away.
Oh yeah.
They've already stated there's going to be some models that are moved to legendary, which means they're deleted from the game. So,
and weirdly, some of them are fairly new kits. Like I think the Dark Elf mage on the Dark Elf on the dragon.
Yeah, but that's a horrible kit.
Yeah, that dragon looked kind of dumb.
Actually. But the point is, we're going to be losing some stuff, but we will be getting new War Scrolls for all these things. It looks to me, from what I've seen so far, the majority are actually going to be staying. I don't think a lot of stuff is going to get cut here.
Maybe some High Elf chariots. I don't know.
Yeah, crappy models. And anything that's fine cast is honestly on the chopping block. I wouldn't expect it to survive.
Yeah.
And really, really old sculpts that are just crappy, like High Elf Spearmen will probably stay, but I wish they would go.
Oh, they're so bad.
Their hands are bigger than their
hands.
So, but anywho, that's neither here nor there. Expect some of that stuff. We don't really know, but honestly, it looks like most of it's going to be there. And if you have the ability to take some really cheap, like dwarf defensive battle line units that they get new War Scrolls, maybe some points adjustments where they're now going to be a good choice. This is going to change a lot, and I think Cities of Sigmar is going to be a significant factor in the meta. There's at least 1 or 2 things that are just very powerful coming out of it. There's too much in the book. So
yeah, well, I think we'll definitely see some more elves on the channel because that's
that'll be cool.
I have a pretty big force of elves already painted, and this might inspire me to paint some more. So
cool. And this is Auric War Clans is the other half of this release.
Exciting to me.
Most likely, both of these releases will come with faction terrain, endless spells, and maybe 1 hero. They seem to me to be those kind of releases.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've already seen like hints and pictures of like what looks like an orc. What do they call it? Like an idol of Mork or Gork or whatever.
It's just the theory. It could have been like the house terrain, but
yeah,
it looked like it had a base on it. So
right. So people were like, "Oh, that's the faction terrain." It's like, well, maybe.
That'd be cool. I'd like it. But anyway, Auric War Clans is essentially the same as Cities of Sigmar, but it's an amalgamation of Iron Jaws, which will be exactly the same as what you got in the General's Handbook for the most part, with maybe some more battalions and some artifacts and stuff. But they're not really gonna change much, which is great because Iron Jaws are in a great spot now.
Yeah. You'll get terrain. You'll get endless spells that are
stuff like that. Yeah.
With your faction, right?
And then you'll be able to take bone splitters.
Bone splitters, right?
And the way it looks like is, I think they said in the article, there's going to be an Iron Jaws faction allegiance, which will be exactly what's in the handbook right now. There'll be bone splitters, which will be all updated stuff, which is great for them. Most likely, I'm assuming, but most likely. And then there's one called the Great Wa, which is a combination of the 2 factions.
Right.
Yeah. Which, again, that's a new one, so that'll be all brand new stuff. So it should be good. Iron Jaws need a way to get some cheap bodies out there, and Bone Splitters might be the way to do it. So,
And I'm wondering if that means all my stupid greenskins models I have in bags are just going to be useless now.
they're act.
Yeah,
No, greenskins are gone. Yeah.
Yeah. Time to give them some pistols and turn them into orc boys, and then
There you go. I honestly, yeah. And then, but again, same thing. So a lot of stuff to look forward there from those two releases, and then that wasn't all. We had the tease for the new stuff. Now, what they did is they put out a video in the day that was called the. It was early in the day. I think it was the Pact of Bones.
The Pact of Bones, yes.
Now, did that come first, or was it the tithe of bones?
The Pact of Bones came first because I remember I was at work and I was updating my phone constantly to see what was going to come out, and that was the first one that popped out. And then the next one that popped out after that was the tithe of Bones.
Tithe of Bones and Pact of Bones.
Right.
Now, the Pact of Bones was the ogre tease, correct?
Yes.
And this was a cool video. We got a brand new model, the Ogre Tyrant, which when they do that 100% means you're getting a book, you're getting updated. It's just a matter of time. Yes. I have a feeling that this is going to be just like the Skaven Flesh Eater Court release.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And this has been the rumor that this is a box set, much like, what was that one called?
Carrying Empire.
Carrying Empire, right. And this will be called
Loon Curse. Yeah, that was
similar. Loon Curse. And what this will do is this will tie up ogres, which will be, there was only going to be like 1 or 2 factions left after this that really need an update that couldn't be like amalgamated into something else.
Yeah.
I'm hoping this new ogre stuff includes Beast Claw, so that would knock off another book to be updated, which would be fantastic.
It would be odd, though, because when they came out with the GHB, they updated the Beast Claw, but didn't update the ogres because they're just as deadly as ever.
Right, but that doesn't mean anything.
Okay.
It doesn't. We've been trying to decipher what they're doing with the handbook and how that affects the future for so long, and it doesn't really equate to anything. Fire Slayers were in the one, and then they got a book, so it's like so yeah.
We just got new Iron Jaws rules, and they just got rumored to have a new book. So
yeah, I guess.
But that's what happened with Fire Slayers too.
Right.
So I'm pretty sure. Anyway, the point is, it's a lot of interconnecting things happening at GW, and I don't think this is some kind of like plot. I think it's just they release what they have to try to make it as exciting as they can. They have a general plan that they try to stick to as much as they could, but it just is what it is. So
yeah.
But that's exciting. New ogres. It'll probably be a starter kit with new ogres, with the Tyrant being the new model in the box.
Mm-hmm.
Fighting against a new faction.
Yes. So we've been discussing this pretty heavily in our
we have
intergroup chat where we're just kind of trying to figure out, but they put out a new video, and some of the clues that have been gathered from the internet are that the music that's playing in the background is of Mongolian
or Eastern. Let's just say
Eastern / Mongolian style. And it mentions that it's essentially mentioning that his master is building him an army, and now that he's been released from the Storm God's like trap, and he talks about being struck down by Sigmar himself, which we're thinking could point to Krell.
That's who it is. Let's be real. Let's be real.
Someone brought up one that could also be possible, which was Drakenfels, which is an older character. And in the end times, he was being referred to as the Nameless. And that was kind of a thing that nobody was sure if that's who it was. But the suggestion was the Nameless was Drakenfels, but Nagash had brought him back in such a way that he didn't remember who he was and was more loyal to Nagash. But the problem is he did turn on Nagash in the end and went over to Chaos.
See?
Krell is the only one that was...
Well, he's not the only one.
He's not the only one.
Listen, Krell is a strong contender.
Yes.
But I was doing my research.
Yes.
There's another strong contender,
Who was that?
which would have some awesome implications if it's true.
Hmm.
Other strong contender is Luther Harkin, who is he is a vampire lord of the Vampire Coast. Okay,
Yes.
who in the end times he had no problem swearing fealty to Nagash. He followed Nagash immediately because he's a little crazy. This Harkin guy, he's a little nuts, and he doesn't like that other vampires or anybody would ever be nice to any of the mortals. He just likes killing everybody because he's a pirate. He's a pirate lord. He was loyal to Nagash.
Mhm.
He was in the end times, and he was even a Mortarch of Nagash. Mortarch of the Abyss is what he would be.
Ah.
If this is true, if it's Luther Harkin and he gets brought back by Nagash, we could see pirate skeletons,
Yarr.
which the Warhammer Total War 2, a couple months back, well, more than a couple months back, probably about 6 months back now, released the Vampire Coast faction already, which has giant golem ships, like ghost ships that are like giants that fire cannons and stuff at you. Ghost skeleton pirates, zombie pirates, giant crab men and giant crab beasts. Like this, they already have that concept out. The models are created. Maybe they were privy to some knowledge ahead of time
Interesting.
to develop hype. I don't know.
Yeah.
So anyway, there's a strong contender. However, there are some negatives to his. He's dead. So there's that. He was killed. The dialogue and the back, like you said, the Eastern type music, the voice of the character itself does not sound like
a pirate.
It doesn't lean that direction.
Yeah. And I think there has been reference to Krell in the fiction of the New World. There was, I forget where it was, but there was something in one of the books where somebody comes upon the ancient armor of Krell in a vault somewhere.
Yep.
And
remember, Krell was a Mortarch as well.
Yes.
So, and Krell was always 100% of all the Mortarchs, the most loyal of all Mortarchs.
Because he felt that Khorne betrayed him, so he was like completely like on board of, all right, we're gonna go get the Chaos Gods. I'm gonna follow Nagash because he knows what he's doing. And
this is the zinger. Krell used to be a Khorne lord. Okay. Yeah. In Warhammer Fantasy, the forces of chaos came from the north. They were essentially Nordic. Okay?
Yes.
They're Vikings.
Yes.
And he was even specifically from a tribe that would 100% be like a Viking tribe.
Mm-hmm.
He was a Khorne lord before his turning into a skeleton.
Yes, right.
And he hates Khorne. He loves Nagash. Nagash is his savior, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The voice in the video could easily be Scandinavian.
Yeah. Yeah, well, he's a white king, I guess, is what you would call him. Yeah,
he's a bony boy.
Right. Yeah. A bony boy.
So we could be seeing a new skeleton revival faction, which would be very cool.
I'd be excited. Yeah, I don't have too many skeletons in my force, so it'll be interesting.
Would you say Krell is the king of the north?
The king of the north? That would be that's Archeon, obviously. Yeah. But anywho, we got two strong contenders. It's got to either be Krell, which is my number one pick. It just fits everything way too perfectly. Krell was even the reason why Krell, he was struck down by Sigmar personally, just killed by Sigmar. He's been killed 1 billion times and been remade 1 million times. That's one of Krell's sticks. Nagash keeps bringing him back,
right?
Which was referenced in the video and the dialogue as well.
Yeah,
I think it's Krell. The voice fits the Eastern motif. Now we're going to discuss this in a second and how it ties in. But the voice is definitely not a pirate. It's definitely more Nordic.
Yeah,
Scandinavian.
And if you are a pirate, we're sorry that we're generalizing your race, but that's what you sound like. Sorry.
Listen, we're playing Warhammer. There is not anything more stereotypical than Warhammer. So, anywho, there's that. So now, what further cements it is it's called the tithe of bones, and they talk about how the tithe of bones. The ogre video talks about how the pact of bones is broken.
Yeah.
And then the new video is talking about the tithe of bones has ended, so now he's going to go get bones. Okay, if we're talking about it's a box set and it's ogres versus this new faction, you call it tithe of bones or pact of bones or whatever. What about this? And this is not my theory. I heard this floating around somewhere or other. I forgot about it. What about this? The ogres, the pact of bones for the ogres was, you know how the ogres like to eat everything?
They like to eat everything. So
They like to eat everything. What do they do with all the bones?
throw
Nom, nom,
over
nom.
here.
You have a pact to give it to whoever this guy is, which would make sense that he's a dead guy that's made of bones because he's Krell.
Right.
You're giving him so he can build an entire city made of bones that you see in the video,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Which might be located in the eastern areas, which, again, ogres do have a Mongolian eastern vibe to them very heavily.
Yes.
So that's where the music comes from. It's the location.
Yes.
Now that the pact is over, they've broken the pact, so no longer are they providing these supply of bones to the Bone King.
Right.
The tithe is over. Now they break up. Now they're having a fight, and they're joining the rest of the world. That's what it is. That's what it is.
Yeah. I mean what it seems like to me is that they must have had a deal with Nagash or one of Nagash's proxies, because this guy was, from what I'm gathering, recently released. That was what the whole thing of Forbidden Power was. There's a fight at the end. Lady Olander, from what I understand, Ace is a Celestin, the Celestin Prime, and then whatever was being held in Sigmar's vault is released, and that is maybe Krell. I don't know.
Now,
it could be.
Right. Oh, everybody wants it to be Cetra, but I hate to break it to you guys. It's not
Cetra is already a Stormcast.
There's that. He's just
He's Lord Celest. He's Lord Celestin Cetrus, and he calls his group of Stormcast the Imperishables, which is straight from Cetra's fluff.
Well, and let's be real. Would you want to have it be Cetra after he called Nagash's master?
Yeah, that's
no.
not Cetra.
You don't want to play him anymore. If Cetra bends his knee and bows down to someone else, he's no longer viable. He's not No, get him out of the game. He doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, people are still out there saying it's Tomb Kings, but I don't see it happening.
Hey, you know what? It could be a new bone. It could be a new skeleton army that has Egyptian inspired.
Maybe there's the option to do that. I could see like having some units that might have similarities to, say, the skeleton archers or the chariots or any of the other things. But I don't know. Who knows?
It would be nice.
Yeah.
Because they discontinued that range, right?
Right, yeah. You can't buy those models anymore. That's why I was able to sell mine for so much money.
See? Then that means they could re-release with the same motif, the Egyptian theme, that kind of style. Call it like an Eastern type thing. But now they're going to be able to redo all the kits the way they want.
Right, yeah.
For the new age.
And they can get rid of all the fine cast stuff that was out there.
Yeah.
There was a lot of fine cast. The Carrion.
Oh God!
That's
fix that stupid Carrion War Scroll while you're at it.
What is wrong with
that? I don't even want to say it out loud. I don't because it's disgusting. I'm going to say it. So the Carrion War Scroll. I don't want to say it because no one's watches us anyway. So I'm just going to say it. The Carrion War Scroll is disgusting. It breaks the entire game because you can take a bazillion Carrion, leave them up flying in the air, and they're still on the board, but they're flying in the air, can't be attacked or targeted by anything except for Judgments of Khorne because they're amazing. But essentially they're immortal, but they take up space. So you just flood the board with Carrion and never come down. And just stand near because they can still score the objectives.
Yeah, you just make a ring of them 3 inches away from the objective.
Yeah, and that's the game. It's stupid. Anybody that ever fields masses of Carrion against you, flip the table. I'm not even take your models off and flip the table because that's just straight abuse, is what that is. So
Jeez.
But anywho, we can fix that war scroll while we're at it. I'm excited. I think it could be a real cool thing. So it's Crow.
It's Grell.
So anywho, that's the new stuff coming out. It should be exciting and meta / game altering. It's going to be fantastic. So we've gone for a while. We still have a few topics. We wanted to hit some general handbook 2019 Fallout, and
I mean, a lot of people have already covered that. I
You
feel
think so?
like, yeah.
well, I guess the angle that I would want to go at it at is, and me and John were discussing this the other day.
I got to run, guys. But,
Oh, you got to head. Okay, well, you know what? We'll
Yeah.
save that for the next time. All right, dude. Well, and if there's anybody watching, thank you for watching. We're going to try to do this again next week, and maybe we'll pick up with General Handbook Fallout. What I wanted to talk about was the game is like the Wild West right now. We don't necessarily know who's the top dog at this point, and we could break that down a bit. But we'll save that for next time. So anyway, thank you, Nate. Thank you, John. Josh had to go, but we thank him too. Some good discussion on Sylvaneth, some of the new releases, stuff coming up. Yeah, I guess we'll catch you next time here at LWG.
All right.
Woo.